Hey guys, my name is Seniac and welcome back to another episode of Transport Fever 2, the Netherlands edition, where things got exciting in the last episode. We finally built the train loop, which allowed me then to kind of connect on additional train lines leading to other cities. Now we got our big loop all set up. We have a line that goes from Zandvoort, from Leiden to Den Haag. That is a separate line altogether. We then have a separate line that goes from Zaandam to Amsterdam to Hilversum. And then we have another line that goes from Rotterdam into Woerden to Utrecht. I can't say it, guys. Listen, I've tried it. I went into Google Translate and I still can't pronounce it. My weak British pronunciation is disappointing me right now. But we have a lot of lines all set up, which is looking really, really good. Now, I want to kind of future-proof myself a little bit. A lot of you guys have been telling me in the last couple of episodes to kind of create double slips and all that kind of jazz. And we're going to play around with those today, but we're going to play around with them on the industrial side first before I implement them on the passenger side, because I can see myself having some major issues. But you can see right now, these big train stations all filtering into two single train tracks. That will create some future issues. And we'll come back to that a little bit later in the episode. But what I want to take a look at today first is the shipping. Now, we're bringing fuel over, which is great. It goes to Zaandam, it goes to Amsterdam. Eventually, we can bring fuel to Zandvoort, and there's a few other towns around that will kind of accept it. But a lot of towns also accept food. Amsterdam accepts food, Haarlem accepts food, so does Zandvoort, and so on and so on. And I thought it would be a good idea to try and bring food over here, seeing as we are producing food and have a line set up in the distance, and we have ships taking the goods to Amsterdam. So if I can get food delivered to the port, the ships will then take the food with the fuel to Amsterdam to unload. You guys see where this is going right now? Sounds pretty good, right? But my only issue I do have at the minute is the fact that we do not have enough ships on this fuel line. So I'm going to duplicate right now another, and this is wild to even say this, another 4. That's probably still not enough, but I need to increase the rate of deliveries. We only have 4 at the minute. We're going to add another 4 on, and then we can see what we can kind of get up with. So we've got some big challenges, some big tasks that we need to accomplish in today's episode. So what I will say right now is, boys, if you are enjoying this series, please make sure you smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you are new so you get notified when more episodes do come out. Don't rely on the recommended tab, boys. Subscribe to be notified, baby. Now, what we're going to do is we basically need to set up a system that transports the food that gets produced from these industries all the way up to the harbour. Now, currently we have the fuel being transported, but we don't have the fuel or the fuel down here being transported because we haven't really set it up to kind of be like that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of slightly readjust all of this. I'm going to quickly pause for just a hot min. We're going to delete you, delete you, delete you, delete you, and we're going to change some things, okay, boys? I'm going to delete all of this here. We're going to delete our crisscross, and I'm going to experiment with a double slip kind of system. I know you guys are going to be really, really excited about this, but I'm probably not going to do the stereotypical double slip kind of system or single slip system. I'm probably going to do my own variant of it, which probably might end up being a double slip system. Who knows? I'm going to do my own variant of it, and what I want to do is I want to run 2 additional train lines along with this line. Because theoretically, this is going to become quite a busy run. It really is going to become so busy if I start bringing more goods up to that shipping harbour. So I kind of want to make sure that I've got a bit more capacity. Now, we're going to bring it to about here. So if I just theoretically drop you into there. All good. Bring you to here and to there. Now, the reason for this is I'm going to run a separate food line, a separate refined or crude oil line, and a separate refined line with fuel line, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? I'm hoping that makes sense to what I've just said. So obviously I don't have high-speed train lines at the moment. That's something that we'll have to kind of upgrade in the future once we unlock it. And this is quite a long-winded process right now to be able to get this all connected. So I'm going to snap it just there for just hot min. And I'm going to bring it just to here. So it is quite a long distance that I am running these train lines here. And you could argue, Seniac, this is way more than you need. You couldn't combine them. And I really could combine these lines to make the trains all run on it, which is something that I probably would have done anyway. But now thinking of the sheer capacity that I'm going to require on these lines, I'm going to create separate lines. So we're going to have a total of 2, 4, 6 train lines running all together. Bit excessive, but we want them to be able to go back and forth is what we want. We want them to be able to go back and forth and do that magic. So we're just going to bring it to here to begin with and snap this all the way in. This is quite a vast project, isn't it? This is going to be quite a vast project right now in the ye old Netherlands. Holy moly. But what's going to be great about it, though, is the amount of cargo I can transport and how quickly I can transport it. It's going to be unreal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to naturally just allow these to run into here, okay? We're going to naturally allow them to run into here, and then that's when we're going to have to create our double slip systems. So we can also allow them to utilize all the platforms. Only there will they get to utilize all the platforms. Now on this point here, this is going to run all the way down, which by default will allow it to utilize. Let me just get rid of all of these for a second. Because like I said, I'm gonna rejig it all and kind of create my own variation of this, but we're gonna allow them to utilize all the platforms again. But this one's gonna bend round down to here, up to there, and then obviously this one just to there, which naturally I'll make it kind of funnel into this one. Now, I don't really need them to be able to utilize all the platforms, but if I start getting more and more and more and more and more and more trains on it with more lines, you need to maximize it as much as you can. So we got the one line that goes back and forth perfectly, and it can continue. So I'm not going to worry about the food line just yet, which will lead into this, and I've kind of need to slightly change how this is all ultimately going to work. Don't need to worry about that just yet. We'll first focus on the oil route. Now, we'll also create the way and the ability for them to kind of lead into this. Let me just delete these signals because this is going to be placed some distance now going back. I think we'll first focus on this. So this will be my very own variation of a double slip. So don't expect your traditional one to begin with. It's going to be my own variant of it. The fool's slip, we're going to call it. We'll call it the fool's slip right now, okay? And obviously this will run quite generously into, let's just go to here. So these two lines flip over, which is perfect. It does exactly what I need it to do. And if I go and check the, oh, I can't see it because we don't have the full connection of it to kind of work. So we kind of have to figure this out ourselves. So that is going to be pretty interesting right now. So that there. So let me just figure this out in my head. So I know the train's running on the right-hand side going in, okay? So what I theoretically need to do is allow the trains to kind of figure out which side they need to be in. Now I can force slip it over by 2. Now, you could argue that is now completely killing off that. That's not really doing what I want it to do because I want it to be able to utilize all the platforms. So the slips could happen. And here is kind of an interesting one because theoretically, I just got to slip them over by 1. So I could either do all the slips to begin with there, or I could do the slips further down. It doesn't really make much difference for us. And you could argue, I don't need to run this all the way in. So I could keep that as it is there, but let me now just delete this one. And then we're going to kind of slip them all over. It sounds easier than it needs to be, doesn't it? It sounds easier, but I'm going to make this so difficult. So prepare to be triggered, okay, guys? Just prepare to be triggered right now as I now kind of get this all set up. So like I said, I want them to be able to kind of go in their directions. in all of the variations and directions. So if I was able to kind of build you there and you there, right, that allows us to kind of, like I said, slip over to both sections on this train track, but it doesn't set us up for this one. Now, annoyingly, you can't get that little slip in there. You kind of have to create like a little bit of a space, to which I could theoretically set myself a split there, and then I could choose to do another one over here. So that will give us the ability to kind of crisscross all the way over, but it doesn't do exactly what I need it to kind of do. You know what I mean? Because if you wanted to get over to there, you've got to stagger it all, which is really, really annoying. So if I started here and slip that like that, that's allowing them to change on both sides. Now, if I did one here and here, right, again, this is going to trigger everybody. So expect to be triggered right now. Expect to be fully triggered. Like that. That there allows from someone in this line to go over to over to over. But if you're on this line and you wanted to go that way, you go there. If you're on this line and wanted to go over there, I need to do another one. So then another one needs to take place here. This is what I mean by you're going to get triggered. This is what I mean by you're going to get triggered right now. It allows them to go into all the directions. Don't get me wrong. It allows them to go into all the directions. But does that trigger everyone? Or do you reckon I can get away with it? I might be able to get away with this. Who knows? Who knows? So that would obviously go to here, which I can't do. Because ultimately now, I've got to filter these in. So this is where the difficult section of it now comes in, because I've got that extra line to play around with. Now, this would have to kind of almost crisscross over too, but I don't know whether it's the curvature that kind of throws me off. So I could put you in there and then put you in here to run these to there and to there, which allows me now to have them utilize all the stops. So no matter which way you're coming in, they could theoretically switch to whatever side they needed to get to. Do you see how that works? Now, you could argue this is not very efficient. This is over-engineered. So Nick, there is a better way to do this, but I'm trying to allow them to switch in all directions, no matter which way they go. But the only issue I'm then going to have is the simple fact that a train will have to wait as a train is coming out. You see? That is the next issue I'm going to have. So I'll let you guys decide right now in the comment section down below. I'll let you all decide right now, how awkward is this setup? Let me know in the comment section down below, how awkward is this setup? And let me know what I should do to make it a little bit more efficient. Now, you thought that was awkward, okay? I'm going to rename this the Fool's Slip, okay? I'm going to rename it the Fool's Slip. It allows me to kind of come in and out. You can see where they crisscross over. And it works out perfectly. And they're able to utilize another line, if that makes sense. Now, if I come all the way up, obviously I've got to do something very, very similar over here right now. So if I just get rid of all these signals here, oh, I'm deleting train track and I didn't really want to. There we go, there we go. And then we're going to have to lead all this in. So if I started here, all right, there we go. And do I do a slip here? Would it make sense? I suppose it would, theoretically, or not. No, let me delete that for a second. Let me just delete that one. Put you in there, because I didn't do it. I just realized I didn't do one over on that side, did I? So if you're coming out there, you can switch over and over. Ah, yes, so it's got to go middle. No, it can go two outers, middle, two outers. It is very, 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 very excessive, this. Very, very excessive. I'm not even going to lie to you right now. It's very excessive to set this up. So if you're here, you can go bam, bam, and then I need one here. But it doesn't solve any of my other issues. So you got 2, and then you come in, and then you come in. But then you can cross over. You can't cross over. You see what I mean? I've made this way more confusing than it needs to be, haven't I? I've literally made it way more confusing than it needs to be. Granted, they can get to their size they need to be on if they utilize all the lines. Which for me, it's not what I'm trying to allow them to do. So, if you break it down the opposite way, and I deleted all of this. Let's just say I break it down the opposite way. And we say that we are allowing, because the trains are going to be driving on the right-hand side, is it? Yes, it's the right-hand side. What we can say is, and where should I start it? Should I start it about here? Trains will need to slip over to that side. And then obviously coming back, they will need to slip over to there. Now, train going down this way will also need to slip over to this side. And then do the same coming back. So a train on this middle line can slip over to there to get in, come back down to get back on its main track, slip over to there to get in, and come back down this side to get on its main track, providing I do a crisscross, okay? That's only providing I do the crisscross. Now, a train coming on this side that would want to get to the middle would simply need to cross over there and then also cross back, but there's too much curvature, so let me delete you. There and there, and then vice versa again. So a train coming this way can turn, and this one can bam, bam. Again, providing we do said crissy crossies, which I could do the crisscrosses further up here. To allow the trains to kind of come in. What do you mean I can't? The construction's not possible. To allow the trains to have a little bit more space to work with. And allow them to kind of line up. So, I'm not going to undo the first one. These are my 2 variations of how I'm going to set it up. Which one do you prefer? Okay. So this one allows us to kind of set it up the way it needs to be set up. Let me just do the signals as well, because the signals are going to play a huge role in all of this. So obviously you will go there, you're there, you're there. Just so they know the waypoints in which they need to work on. And then obviously we've got to go out the opposite way. So coming out the opposite way, I think it then kind of shows you more of how this side works. More than anything. So where do we find our signals? So here's our signals here. Let me now just get my signals back in. So signals, auto sig would go there. Would go there. And let me just get the auto signals just down in here real quick. There. Wait, did I place those right? Oh no. Wait, which ones am I deleting? Oh, I've got my signals messed up. I'm deleting that one, aren't I? Yeah. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot sandwich. Right. Very annoyingly now, I've got to go and delete every single signal that I've just messed up. Oh, what an idiot. Well, an idiot, but that's okay. Oh, okay, now I'm a bigger idiot. I've just deleted the train track. So yeah, what do you guys reckon then? The first variant of these signals, which I'm calling the full signals, or should I do it correctly? In my head, I'm thinking, Seniac, just do it correctly. Let's not be a noob right now. Do it correctly. But either one could work. I think my variant, the full signal, the full slip, sorry, is the more... How do I pull it? The more... Oh, did it stop here? Why did the signal stop there? Oh, because that's the end. Yeah, my variant is a bit more confusing, for a better word. It is a bit more confusing. So up this way, down that way, up this way. They should also have the ability to go down that way. But I don't think... I just want to double check I've got all the signals here correctly. But I think it's more the fact that it comes down to the speed variant of it as well. Maybe it's not as speedy to go down that way. But I could, you know, make a line go down that way a bit different to all the others anyway. I just want to make sure the signals are all okay on this line. Into there. I think it might be at this one. Ah, it's because this one technically doesn't have the ability to crisscross all of them, right? So that's where my big issue is on this. So what do you reckon? Should I just kind of create this down there? Because this has worked out really well. It is exactly what I need it to do. It's worked out really well. But the only thing it doesn't help us with is the... I mean, it could. If I was to allow this to kind of bend all the way around and we just then add that line onto it, that kind of solves our issue with this. Right. Boys, even though you've probably already commented, and obviously I can't read your future comments, right? I'm already answering your questions. From the future. Somehow. I don't know. But we're just going to connect it up. And just make our life easier. So I know this is a lot of playing around with. But this is ultimately going to create a lot more... How do I put this? Less headache is the better way to put it, right? Less headache. So... let's build this, and we'll probably have to do it on the bend here as well, won't we? So we're going to replicate what we've just done over here, which allows the outer two to come into the middle, and then the middle to then sprawl out. So it kind of bends in to bend out, or crissy-crossies over, okay? So if I do it going back outwards, no, we'll do it going inwards. We'll do it going inwards. The trains drive on the right-hand side. So we are making you come in to then allow you to go over. Have I done that right now? No, I've done it wrong. Have I done it wrong? I feel like I've done it wrong. The bend's throwing me off. So you go over by 2, you go over by 2. Right. Did I do that correctly? No, I've done it by 1. That's why I've done it wrong. It's that first one I've done wrong. Right, you go over by 2. To allow you to go over by 2. Okay? So then if I replicate that, there, and there, this is hoping I can take this and replicate them there to replicate these here. So there we go. We've got the 2 coming in to then sprawl out. And then what we do is we then set up the crissy-crossies up here. So again, the only reason I'm doing it here or not doing it here, is so I can maybe have some trains wait. What is going on with this? There we go. And there we go. Okay, there we go. It allows them to kind of go where they want. But the problem is, I've got them all set up on the one singular line. I can make certain lines waypoint themselves depending on the speeds and all that jazz. So signals now coming in here then. So we'll have a signal there, and a signal there. We'll have a signal obviously here, signal there. And just get the signals in where we kind of technically now missing them. Do we have any here? Because I can add on to this line, which is not a problem. Right, that should sort me out. So, we're now going to change up these lines so we can get them to kind of technically utilize a certain track and then split into where they want to go moving forward. So, theoretically, the easiest way to do this would be to add a waypoint system in. So, if I set the waypoints up, and if I put my waypoint here and here, here and here and here and here, just so I can then implement the lines to run on them. So if I select, for example, the crude oil line, we'll get them to utilize the middle. So manage the line. This one is Hoog. So from this one, we then add a station, which would be that there. And then from here, we add to be here. That forces that line to use the middle tracks, as you can see. And then you can see how it then has the ability to split to go to where it needs to go to for each of the stations. Okay? Simple, easy, effective. And then it should be the exact same over here as well. So the darker line is what it defaults to as its platform. And then it's able to split depending on where the trains currently are. I can add more signals in here as well. So we have trains waiting to enter and approach. Now, if I do the same again with the oil line, and we'll make the oil line... I'll make the oil line be on the outer one, which it's currently already on. But let me just kind of default that. So add the waypoint in. And then after... on the way out, that is all done, and you can see that it's able to share all the tracks with the slips, and then all of the slips just there. It does it perfectly fine, no issues. That might take a while before they figure out what they got to do. So we're back into play mode then, because it's going to kind of slightly mess a few trains up. Now, this outer one here, we're going to actually share this with a train delivering fuel from the bottom, leading up, and the trains delivering the food coming over as well. Now, I've got to change this because we're going to have food come from both sections, which is kind of going to slightly throw us off a little bit. So what we'll have to do is we'll have to add another set of train tracks like this for another platform. So platforms like that there. And then what we'll do is we'll then have set up another set of train tracks like that for a bypassing route. But I'll throw another platform on anyway so I can create the main building to connect to all that stuff. So I will have to delete that in just a second. Actually, we'll pause and do it now. Right, delete the road and reconfigure. Because we can have that's going to be used as like a bypassing track for the trains coming from the other food area. If there's a train already here waiting. I mean, I can say it probably doesn't need to do that, but I'm just thinking ahead slightly. I'm slightly thinking ahead for the future a little bit. Doesn't need to be like this, but I'm going to make it be like this. I am going to make it be like this. Right, main buildings. It also enables us to get a little bit closer as well to all this cargo stuff. So that always, you know, doesn't hurt. And we will make it so I'm going to have to add an extra section on that. And that will kind of come down. And then go through. So maybe I make the middle one be the one that is the bypassing route, and then that one bends in. So theoretically, I'm looking at setting up... I can go back into play mode now, it's okay. So theoretically, I'm looking at setting up a drag off this here. And we're going to bend that into there. I mean, you could argue there the speed limit doesn't work. So what if I built it to the speed limit instead? Rather than that, I built it to the speed limit. The bend. That will work a lot better for us. So run this. I'm going to run it to there for just a min. Bring you out. So this is all infrastructure that I got to play around with right now. And then obviously we got to find how this... I mean, that's going to be stopping there anyway, so that really doesn't matter for us. It really don't matter. And then where can I run this in? So just running it in there. Should be good enough. I could run it a lot further down and create the transition in, which is probably what I'm going to do, actually. Run it a bit further down. And then transition it in. So that does that, exactly what I needed to do. And then this is now running into here, which I've got to now bend it all the way in, which I might have to now oof off these signals. So where can I see that? Because this is going to be quite the bend. That holds and maintains a 120. So that shall do. Where is the... There it is. So there's no crisscrosses needed. It's a fluent run directly in. I've just got to sort out signals. Now, I could have the signal there to match it, but we're going to have it here to match. Like that. So it's a little bit different to how the other ones work, but still effective none the least. So that runs us into there perfectly fine. I've just then got to set up a line which allows us to pick up from there and then drop off, and then also come back to pick up from there and then drop off. So I need to extend this set of... Right, delete you. This station first and foremost. So tracks. So I'm kind of thinking ahead as if I'm going to have like a multitude of trains. Platforms. That's all I'm doing, is just thinking ahead. Cargo buildings. Do I go for the big boy? We'll go for the big boy. Why not? Why not go for the big boy? To which then, I'm not going to have this. I'll have it snap onto it, but I'm not going to allow these guys to share the line. And where am I going to go about there? I'm not going to have them share the line because I want to keep this line completely separate. And then I've just got to do my crisscrosses, just got to do my signals on all of this. So I'll implement a crisscross then just here. for them ones. We'll need a crisscross here. And I will need a crisscross here if we're going to be stopping at this station. Which, theoretically, I don't need to have it stop here, because I'm going to utilize it as a bypass, so we don't need to have that there. Because I'm not going to stop it. If I'm stopping at this station, I'm stopping at them platforms there to keep that open free for the high-speed trains to roll through, eventually when they are high-speed trains. So let me just sort out the signals. And then, because I'm doing all this whole industry stuff kind of slightly backwards. Alright, that goes... auto sig that way to enable auto sig this way. So you go there, you would go there. You're there, you're there. You're obviously there. Put you there. You're there. One just there for that. Right, turn the auto sig off now. That works there. I'm going to have one more just here as it passes. And then that's technically all that there needs to do. So I'm ready. I'm actually now geared up to be able to accept trains coming back and forth. So let me just do the line, because I've got to work it backwards because I need to set up the end route as well. So this now allows me to, if I create a new line, by the way, and click the station there. So to pick up from there, so I'll be picking up food to deliver up to here. Then coming back to pick up the food from here, from these two factories, and then going back again. That gives me the ability to then pick up from there, go back, and by the time I come back to pick up from here and then go back, it would have given us enough time for this here to produce enough food, so when the train eventually makes its way back here, there's a load of food on the platform. So, let me now sort this out. So, at this stop here, we'll change this to bright orange. No, we'll go for a slightly darker brown, because the bright orange is for fuel. And here we're allowed to utilize both platforms. And when we get to Emmen here, we actually want to be on number 6 and utilize number 5 as well, to keep this middle platform here completely free for the trains bypassing through, going and hurtling at a higher speed. Now, because you're coming all the way up to here, we allow them to be able to utilize all the platforms, which should, theoretically, if I select the line itself, once it hits the slip, it can go into all of them. Perfect. So we're going to manage the line. And we're going to call... what do we actually call this anyway? This is going to be... it's the food line that brings it all the way over. I'm going to call it the... right, let's try and pronounce this. Lauersug? Is that how you pronounce it? Lauersug food is what we'll try and call it there. And that sets up nicely, but I can't put the train on because I don't have the end result yet when they deliver the food. So what they're going to do is these ships, which are able to carry all different types of cargo, I'm assuming. No, actually they can't. So I'll have to have a separate ship that carries food. Okay. I then bring it into here, which I then have a vehicle, which this vehicle can carry different types of cargo, right? Oh, I do actually have actual vehicles I can use. Yes, that has the ability to carry all types of cargo. But my question is for that, does it go to the area where it drops off or needs the food? So it drops off there, which does cover the food area to a certain extent. So we can we're okay for that one. And then this one, oh, it's only going to go for Amsterdam. Oh, this just for Amsterdam at the moment. So I just need to set up a separate shipping route unless I change the ships. Now, if I was to change all the ships to also be able to carry food as well, That does 90, 85. See, change it to 100 here. Wow, that actually might be better. It can do all cargo. It has 10 more capacity, and it's 3 kilometers faster. Right, we're replacing them with those ships right now. So by that logic then, I'm actually good to go. We are actually good to now go. So we also need to look at setting up a new rail yard. And as long as I set this up to the right side of the tracks, which the trains come out into this one. And if I set up a signal real quick, then they'll use all my little slips right there to go into the right direction. So, no electric, no diesel yet. So we're going to go for the... Oh, see, we did have the Mogul here, the Mogul. Mogul? Yeah, we're going to go Mogul, still 75. Then cargo, we need to carry food. So we'll go for these ones that carry 7. We'll go for the shorter variants because obviously we're able to have more on the, fit more on a platform. And because we go in such over a vast area, we'll get 6. This is going to be a money pit for a while, by the way. This is going to be quite a bit of a money pit for a while. Set that up in that food run there. Off you go. So both of them will now start producing food. Okay? They'll now start both producing food. Pull it on the platform. We're all good. Now, one thing I will have to tell them, though, because they might do it. They might pick up grain to deliver it and drop it off. If I just manage the line right now. So in this one, all you're doing is loading. Oh, I'm an idiot. I've got the wrong ones. Replace. I'm an idiot. I'm an actual idiot. I think I've got the wrong carriages, haven't I? It's not gondolas. It's boxcars. It's a good job I spotted that. Right, don't say anything. I fixed it. I fixed my problem. Okay, I don't need to actually tell them what to do now because it's set up. It's set up for it. So manage the line. That's okay now, isn't it? Yeah. What an idiot. Right, that's all set up, and we are now starting to see food on the platform. So food there, and these very shortly right now, if I fast forward, should start producing a little bit of food for the platform. I just want to double check that they are going to produce food. Will they do it? Won't they do it? Will they? Won't they? Will they? Won't they? Will we see some food on the platform? What's taking them so long? There we go. First bit of food on the platform. Right, perfect. That's all up and running. So that's the food sorted, and that's added to the line. Now, we want to combine on that line another line. And that second or that third line coming down would be to pick up the fuel from here. Now, this only, I mean, to be honest with you, we can also combine it with the refinery line here, taking it all the way back up. But that will hinder how much that other factories produce. So I want to kind of have a completely separate line altogether. So that would then mean... Actually, this is quite an interesting run when you think about it. So we have the crude oil line here that picks up crude oil from there, drops it off for that refinery. Picks up crude oil from there, drops it off for this refinery. Then we have the other line, which currently right now picks up the refined oil that gets produced from here. No, it doesn't. It actually... Wait, does it? It does, yes. So it picks up the refined oil from here for that fuel factory, because that gets its goods. Then picks up the refined oil from here for this fuel factory. But the fuel on the harbour only comes from this fuel refinery here. So if I had a separate train that went down and picked up what this produced and brought it back, that will mean there'll be double the amount of fuel on the harbour. Not that we need more fuel on the harbour, might I add. But, you know, there's always that possibility that we kind of do require it and need it. Now, we needed to add those extra signals here as well, didn't we? So if I was to add you... Oh, no, maybe not. Why was there an issue if I added a signal there? Hold on. Why is there an issue if I add the signal there? Let me add them in. Whose issue is it? They all can't get to where they need to get to? Well, to be honest with you, they crisscross there. So up, down, up, down, up, down. Have I messed something up here? Up, down, up, down, up, down. Right, I've just told them to do that exact thing, but they don't like the idea behind it. Do you know what? Let's just not mess around with it. Let's just not cause any issues just yet. So if I'm here, and we'll have to now use these signals first. To there. To there. Then to go back, which is perfect. It's picking up fuel. So in both ends, we're getting to utilize all the stops. But it utilizes this outer one, and it will share the line with the food line, which is not a problem, because there will be minimal trains on that route. Buy a train for it, and to begin with, we'll only have one train. Okay, we'll only have one train to begin with. And we'll do a 140 capacity on this, which will be now our line 1, which we've obviously got to rename it. Now, we need to tell that line that it's only doing fuel. So, what you should only do is, in lower seg, you're only unloading fuel. And here, you're only loading fuel. So it only makes money one way. That's the only downside to that train, which is fine. It is fine. It is fine. So let me now just rename this line. And we call it Lower Sug Fuel. So that now makes this whole area, fingers crossed, right, super efficient. Fingers crossed we've got this area more super efficient, boys. There's our first train now leading down. And it all does what it needs to do. They're all able to kind of come in, hop on their little switches, their little slips, go where they need to go to, all that jazz. And with minimal effort, we're able to get food and fuel delivered over, but we will need more ships. So I'm going to manage this, and is it bad if I replicate another 8? I don't think so, because like I said, it does increase the rate in which we are getting the ships back and forth. And we'll have a little bit of a fasty forwardy. Now, because I took so much time doing all that, I can't implement my little slippy slips around here now. And I don't know how much space I'm going to have there available. But we can definitely do some interesting stuff here. But what do you guys reckon? Is this the way to go forward? Would you approve of these slippy slips? Are they better than what I had before? Do you approve, guys? Do I get your approval? Right, is that the... That's on the food line. Did I put that train on that line? Yes, I did. Now, there is fuel or crude oil on that line, but I've told it not to do that. On here, so that should slowly disappear those. Manage the line. Yeah, it should slowly disappear on the platform. Yeah, it was 3 each. Now it's gone down to 2. So that will go down. And then over here, we should have fuel on that one, as these now start producing fuel. So it will take time to see it all happen. We got some food on that train there. Is this the train that's got a load of food on? 34. Trying to see if I can see a train. Has the train dropped off yet? Any food? No food dropped off as of yet. So this will take time right now for all these systems to start working. It will take a little bit of time. Now, if these start upgrading, it will then start demanding more food from the farms. And everything then starts to make a little bit more money. Hopefully, anyway, fingers crossed. So yeah, I'm hoping that this was the right way to kind of go about doing it. They all switch on the little slips there to the directions they need to go to. Lots of trains now going back and forth. It is a long-winded system, but you can just add more trains onto it to share the lines. And then they'll switch at the very end to where they need to get to. So it works. Honestly, it does work. So will this train change directions? There we go. There we go. And are you coming out for a different direction? No, you're going straight ahead anyway. So we've got new vehicles now being unlocked for the era that we're in. This is our first food train about to drop off. And we should get some food on the platform. Which we do. But we need a lot more ships coming over right now. So eventually they will all be nicely spaced out. Okay. They will all be nicely spaced out in a nice little area. And then we should have a better rate of ships making their way over here. So a bit of a long-winded episode for such a small amount of work now done. But this sets us up quite nicely for the future. This is actually quite a big task to undergo. But it's going to feed Amsterdam with a lot of goods. A lot of goods. Now, the Amsterdam fuel line, we only have one vehicle on. So let's manage this and slightly now change it. So we go cargo. We now have the ability to do the trucks, which carry 6. So we do all cargo here. It doesn't really matter between the two. We'll go for this one. Replace. I'll duplicate and have a second one on the go. And that will slowly eat into the backlog of fuel on the platform. Now, are we going to see many, many traffic issues around here? The answers are yes. Yes, we are. So how can we tackle this not to have as many traffic issues? And that's probably allowing them, turning off ownership at the same time, allowing them to take a different alternative route to get from Haarlem to Amsterdam. Now, if I allow this road to continue down and this road to kind of simply pass by, is that enough on its own to allow them to take an alternative direction, if that makes sense? If I brought this out a bit more and I could bring that to about there, and obviously we got to think about the natural evolution of this area and how the roads are bending round, very much like how Amsterdam kind of naturally is. It creates a few, like I said, alternative directions that maybe they can travel in. I feel like we need a little bit more road network and layout so they're not all defaulting to the same way, causing chaos on this junction. It probably doesn't help that this is the only bridge into Zaandam. Now, this is an interesting thought process now, boys, is if I was to create another bridge here, I would need to make sure that it is ship-friendly. Yeah, that's crazy to even say that. So if I came up in terms of height, and I went across, is that ship friendly? If I built it, ships are still able to pass under. Okay, that works out. That does work out. But I'm going to change this area here. I'm going to build the bridge off here. So if I was to raise you up, keep raise, the bridge pillar issue there. Okay, delete you back a bit. Actually, I'm just going to bend it into it. I'll bend it into it. Is that too high of a bridge? It really is. So I went there instead. And went like this maybe? That still feels a little bit too high. So I'm going to bring it to about there. And how's that looking there? The ship should be able to pass through there. So if I went to there with that. Pause and delete you. Because I want to see if I can now... So I've got a bridge pillar issue here. So I can bring that to about there. You in. And does that then connect into like that? Yes. Up and over, which is good to see. Bringing this down, because there'll be more harbour stuff down here as well in the future. And if I brought this going directly through... Oh, I don't like that. Is there a slight bump there or something? What's going on? If I brought that directly through here... That will then cause us to have a secondary route into Zaandam, which Haarlem can now bypass, go over this bridge to access Zaandam without having to go all the way up to the Amsterdam junction. So that really helps those guys out. So if I fast forward now, having that alternative connection is really going to help us out, especially having this as well as a few vehicles on the way down here now. That we're making their play through there. So if it alleviates traffic on this junction, it is a huge bonus for us carrying cargo out of the Amsterdam docks. That's how we got to look at it. It might not be the prettiest of bridges. I like how it bypasses over this though. And we've got a ship now about to approach up to here, just so we can make sure and double check that it does go under. No issues. It should be small enough, but when we get bigger ships, that's going to be an issue. But that's when we have to think about upgrading the bridge. So let me just make sure that this does go under. Any minute now. It should pass through. I mean, it slightly went directly into the pillar, but there we go. It's all good. It works, it works, it works. It's a bit steep for these horse and carts, but we're in the era right now where we might eventually start seeing actual combustion engines around, like this steam engine over here. Right, has it alleviated the junction? Remains to be seen, but there is a few more roads that I can kind of lead it all in to make it a little bit better. Guys, we're going to end it here right now. I hope you did enjoy this episode. We've made some big headways right now on all of this stuff, so we'll see how this kind of works in the future. But let me know in the comment section down below. Do you approve of the final outcome? Let me know. Until next time, I'll see you all soon. So, goodbye.